Hello, thanks for dropping in. I have a box. Look at that. It's a box. And I try not to get things, and I'm very good at not getting things. But I saw something come up, and I decided I had to at least ask if they would ship this. Now, I really didn't need all of what this is, but it was part of the deal. It was funny, it was kind of responsible for this. I took a trip down memory lane recently. This lady named Fran, who I have never heard of before, but she somehow finds films, lost films, and digitizes them and puts them up. And there, lo and behold, she had found a film from 1983 that had me, copying discs while working and helping with the Toronto Pet Users Group when their office was still at 1912A Avenue Road. It was. Anyway, as always seeming when people in the media and other things get a hold of stories, they never seem to get the story quite right. And there are things in this story that aren't quite right. But anyway. So when I saw this opportunity in the distance of what I'm about to look through here, I thought, yeah, I got to do this. Or I just got to see what I can see, and hopefully the reason I got these is here. Oh my. Oh no. I didn't see it. Just a moment. But I saw it in the pictures. I will really be irked if I don't believe this. The reason I decided to get this bunch, I better take these out. No, wait a second. Oh no. Okay. It's all good. Okay. So what I have here is a box of vintage now TPUG magazines. These ones went to Alberta, and I remember being around when some of these were in fact being created. Ooh, here's an ad for something. Look, it's the Mimic Spartan, which let you, it was basically like in Amiga terms, like a sidecar, except it wasn't a sidecar fit on the back. It let you have a 64 and an Apple together. I had one of these, and then I sold it, which maybe I shouldn't have done. But, you know, we all have buyer's and seller's remorse. Anyway, so this is from January, February of 1986. It is. And it's about artificial intelligence. Here we have one Butterfield explains 64 and 128 video, etc., etc. All to the same people. Anyway, the covers were interesting. They were. What is this? Issue number 22. I guess this is probably about education. This one would be about music. What's this? Jim Butterfield. C128 MI. Steve Hunter. World of Commodore. All kinds of interesting information, including, oh, and this one, of course, this is about telecommunications, and look, that is a drawing of the only Jim Butterfield with a cat. Anyway, so here we have these assorted magazines, and they all have their charm, and they're actually in good shape. They are. Ooh, here's a beautiful thing. The MSD dual drive. If you ever get a chance to get one of these that's working, get it. It was the only drive that, it wasn't by Commodore, but it was really good. It backed up faster than Commodore drives, into a 64 or a PET. Had the IEEE and the serial. Beautiful thing. I think Commodore didn't like it, but, you know, they were pretty good at letting people do things that they wanted done, but for some reason, oh, well, we'll sell less disk drives. Well, no, you'll sell more 64s, and you know, like, anything that supports anything is good. Ooh, flight simulators. What else do we have? All kinds of things. Oh, I remember. Ooh, this one's a cool one. This is when a fellow named Dave Neal was up to Star Trek-y things. Butterfield on memory maps. Butterfield computer comfort. Ooh, this is pictures from the CES show in, I think it was in Las Vegas. Butterfield, piracy and personal ethics. Yes. They bring back memories, they all do. This one's not in the best of shape. What is it about? 1541 problems and how to solve them. TPUG magazine, TPUG magazine. Anyway, but why did I decide, even though, you know what, I probably have all of these, and this last one I probably have too. Oh, it's not in the best of shape, but it's right. But I decided it was worth the trouble to get this. Indeed, this is the TPUG magazine from December 1984. And I was indeed inspired to get this because of the little 2-minute movie clip that has me in it from 1983. So, what is this? It's a TPUG magazine, and who is on the front of it? Well, that was when my brother and I ran the Bradley Brothers Bulletin Board System, otherwise known as the BBS. And this was in the room where we ran it at the time. It was the back corner of my grandmother's house. Back bedroom. Of course, there was no bed in there. There was all kinds of things. Some people say, hey, you know what? Look at that. The Comrex monitor I was trying out just the other day is right there. That's it. Anyway, there are pets, there are 64s, we had fans, and other such things. Anyway, this was us. It was. We are now a little bit older, grayer, because this was 38 years ago. The movie that I saw was 39 years ago. And let me tell you a little story, and I don't know that I've ever told this story before. Maybe I have. Huh. Not maybe. Maybe. I don't know if I can do this or not. I can't really. I can't really. Maybe I can lean that there. There, okay. So, at some point, long ago, as, you know, there are sometimes neighbor issues, we had a couple next door to us who lived next to my grandmother, but my grandmother wasn't well, so we were minding her house, who didn't like us. And, you know, we basically were into three things: bowling, computers, and motorcycles. Well, they didn't know about the bowling, I don't think. They didn't like the motorcycles, and these, you know, I mean, most of what we rode, I had a little Yamaha. Richard had a little old Harley thing. Eventually, he did get a Harley-Davidson three-wheeled trike thing that was kind of modified. And eventually, I did get one other that was kind of not terribly modified, but still, it's like, we're not just, oh my God, motorcycles, they're bad people. Anyway, somehow or another, they found out that we were running the bulletin board out of the house, and they decided that we were running a business. Well, I suppose somehow or another maybe they were right, although we weren't making anything off of it. The little bit that we charged was to cover the phone lines, of which we had 3. And anyway, but they tried to make a big deal out of this because they were going to make us uncomfortable. And that's how you really get neighbors to like you, like piss them off. And really, it's a funny thing because at one point it came by, and here we have, there was a couple of motorcycles in the driveway, and I don't know, oh, they're evil, 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 evil. Anyway, neither one of us had car licenses at the time. Anyway, so they come and complain about this. So, and I remember the guy from the city, he comes along and he's, oh yeah, we've had this complaint. And then we go out and look at the back, and there's some branch on some tree at the back of the garage that he doesn't like. Oh, you gotta take that. So basically, they're just so awful. And that once they get their hooks into you, they just try and mess you around for anything and everything, even though it's nothing to do with any complaint. And, so anyway, of course, at some point he comes back and he starts going on about this same branch. Well, I'd already cut the thing off. And I said, it's gone. Oh, no, it's not gone. Oh, yeah, it's gone. No, it's not gone. I said, look, here's the little stump thing where I cut it off. Anyway, so they decide we're running a business, we have to go, or we can't have it there. And really, you know what, having the bulletin board there really meant that we even had, there wasn't people coming and going, there was no deliveries, it just sat there. People phoned, they hung up, they phoned, they did their thing, that was it. Anyway, we showed the guy this, and still we get this thing, you must not be here. So what I didn't know at the time is, word got around about this, and I don't remember now if there wasn't a little story about it somewhere, in some little computer publication, or I'm not sure, but anyway, word got around. And really, with the little bit we were charging, we couldn't afford to rent an office, or rent or whatever, or who knows. It was like, we're here, and that's, anyway, like, it was just stupid. It was just them. Now, of course, I did the only reasonable thing when they did all this stuff. I actually went and got the binder of bylaws for the city of North York before we were all one happy city. And nowhere in it could I find that there was any limit to the number of pink flamingos that you could have. Because this is what happens. Like, you know what, if they had come over and said, hey, could you park your motorcycles in the back? And then we probably said, yeah, fine, that's fine. But fine. Probably safer anyway. But when you don't say anything, and then suddenly the city's over, and then they're looking at trees and looking at this and looking at every little thing. It's like, oh, okay, you want to play that? It reminds me of a thing, I know games too. Yeah, I know games too. So anyway, I got some pink flamingos, and I got some little fences, and I got some ducks, and all kinds of stuff, and I put them all over the lawn, and because they complained we don't cut the lawn often enough. Well, so I put all these things on there, and I was sure to cut the lawn very regularly. And then I'd rearrange all the ducks, and the geese, and the flamingos, and the fences. I even had little North York flags flying. Boy, they didn't like that. Can you imagine? Instead of going at somebody in a nice way, and then, if they're not compliant, or they don't care, or they tell you to go to hell, then you complain to the city. Oh no, we got to complain. So they're surprised somehow that we're not just going to say, oh great, that's Danny. Anyway, they didn't like this. And you know what, the neighbors, I don't know how well these neighbors were liked by anybody. I don't know who else they'd complained about it. But then other neighbors started adding things to the lawn. And the only thing I didn't leave out there was when somebody left a guitar. I figured that might not go over. Now it's funny, because when I looked through the bylaws, there was something about nuisance, and they could have probably complained that we were a nuisance with all the stuff on the lawn. And anyway, for a couple of weeks, we had more motorcycles than what we parked out the front. So for a couple of weeks, after I got the flamingos, we parked more of the motorcycles out the front, and had all the stuff on the lawn. And anyway, meanwhile, the thing carries on about, oh, you can't have the bulletin board here. And we had no intention of leaving. We had no intention of moving. No way, no. We were going to live there anyway. And if we had to put the bulletin board somewhere else, we would have figured out something. Or maybe we could have hidden it. And never would have known. Maybe in the attic. Who knows? Anyway, it got to the time that it was time. And about 4 or 5 days before that, there was a member of TPUG who was a chiropractor on Avenue Road. His name was Wilf Meisner. He was a fine fellow. And I miss him most every single day. And Wilf Meisner was a member of the bulletin board. And he knew the counselor for the area. And so he had suggested that maybe, because he was not that far away, that we could, set up in the basement of his office, or whatever. And we said, it's a fine offer. We like that offer. But we can't, with what we're charging in the phone lines, what they're costing, we can't really afford to do that. So, about 4 or 5 days before the deadline, Wilf called the politician. And I don't know what was said, but basically Wilf told him that this whole thing of them getting rid of the bulletin board that he was a member of was upsetting to him. And I'm not sure all that he said. He never said what he said. But on the day, which was not very long after that, that we were supposed to not be there anymore, along comes this weaselly bylaw inspector, and he said, well, have you moved the bulletin board? I said, no. And then I was surprised, because I knew nothing of anything, and I also didn't know that there was actually a movement around Toronto, and maybe other places too, to challenge this in court, and people were starting to get to where they were going to start to, like, it was long before GoFundMe, but lawyers who were in the Commodore community were getting ready to help us and defend. We knew nothing of this. We didn't hear about this until afterwards. Anyway, this guy said North York has decided not to pursue this any further. So in other words, the counselor, I think his name was Milton Berger, if that sounds, I know it was Berger, I think it was Milton. Anyway, had got the call from his old buddy Wilf, who said, why are you shutting down the bulletin board that I'm a member to? And I guess this had some sort of effect, because they stopped doing it. And now, of course, once again, it's hard being on the cutting edge, because now, of course, lots of people have things set up. They might have their computer with a web page, or they might, this whole blurred line of business. It's not like I'm outside selling cookies on my driveway or having, like, bake sales or lemonade or whatever. The thing just sits there, and people phone. When they're done, somebody else phones. So anyway, it was just... Anyway, as I said, we're ahead of our time, because now, of course, people do things with their computers. They're buying and selling on eBay. They're going on Kijiji and buying things, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. And it's like, yeah, no one even bats an eye, and never would they suggest that you have to get an office where you can, buy your eBay things. Anyway, so, excuse me. Oh, that was good. Anyway, so here is a picture from the back bedroom at my mother's house, where we had the bulletin board running. And eventually, I think it moved to the basement. And sometimes, some of them were running on PETs, some of them were running on 64s. And, we just carried on with our life of TPUG, and our life of bowling, and motorcycles, and computers. And thankfully, that did not turn into a big kerfuffle. Much thanks to Wilf Meisner, God rest his soul, for all that he did to do with computers and the club and other things. He was a fine man. A fine man. Anyway, so here we are. So look, I'm holding a TPUG magazine in my hand. It might even be here. Doesn't matter. No, it's not the same one, but it's the same one. Anyway, so here it is. TPUG magazine, December 1984. And there's my brother and I, and it's up to you to figure out who's who. I know who's who. He knows who's who. Do you know who's who? Anyway. And it's funny, because I think this is one of the issues way back when. Oh, look, microshare. Yes. that I actually didn't have any articles in. TPUG, 1912A, Avenue Road, Suite 1, Toronto, Ontario, M5M4A1. Oh. No, Richard had something in there. I need glasses. But I don't think I did. But certainly, my mother did. I think, because my mother was involved in, oh yes, this and that. That's what it was. Anyway, no, I don't think I had anything in this issue. Anyway, so why did I decide that I would get this pile? Well, because this magazine, this issue was there, and long ago, like I remember being in the office years ago, and there was back issues of every issue except this one, and I don't know why. But anyway, do I have other issues of this? Yes, but not many. I just decided with this movie that I saw, which is less than 2 minutes, and it's funny, because I don't have a hat on in the movie, and sometimes I was in a hat, and sometimes I wasn't in a hat, but it's funny, I did have funny hair. I still have funny hair, it's just different funny hair. Anyway, so here it is. TPUG Magazine, December 1984. If you have an issue, hold on to it. If you see me at some show or something or other, I'll sign it. I will. And with the rest of the magazines, did I really need them? No, not really. But, you know, do I need everything? Do all the Commodore things that I have? Well, no, not really. But, I'm sure at some point these things will find a good home, because, as I say, I will start to sell things. I will. I will. Anyway, so thanks for coming to the unboxing, and I don't know if I've told that story before. Maybe I have. Maybe I've not. Anyway, until we meet again, thank you. Keep your stick on the ice. Stay healthy. And, yes, it's time to say